Let me just get one more. All right, that's good.
Okay, Mayor, I think we are ready to get started.
Good evening, everyone. This is Mayor Woody Washam, and welcome to our virtual Connecting Cornelius, our evening edition. We're so happy to have you join us tonight, and we know you're going to learn something about the many aspects of things that we will be talking about tonight. Lots going on in your town. We do invite you to use our chat box, and you can ask questions, and we will try to field as many of those as possible. If for whatever reason we run out of time, we'll be responding to you by email. So please ask questions or follow up with us directly after the program. Would love to address what's on your mind as well. So we appreciate everybody's commitment tonight to join us, and we're grateful for the input that we will get from our experts within our town and also within our county tonight. So, and we certainly welcome Cynthia team with us. She'll be up in just a minute to talk about exit 28 is great. And yes, exit 28 is great, we think. So, except for maybe a little traffic out there once in a while, but Deputy Manager Herron will be talking about traffic. So stand by and hang on. We may have some answers for some of your questions. So with that, we are very, very grateful to have our Mecklenburg County Deputy Health Director, Dr. Raynard Washington. Dr. Washington, first of all, welcome. We are very appreciative for your commitment to our Connecting Cornelius events. You've joined us a number of times on these evening events and kept us up to date during the worst of times with COVID. I do want to offer you a congratulations. Dr. Washington will be our incoming Mecklenburg County Health Director following Gibby Harris here in a few months after she finishes up her tenure. Gibby's done a great job, and I know everybody's grateful for what she got us through. Dr. Washington has learned a lot from her, I'm sure. And, so we're glad that he's with us tonight to give us an update. We've had a few challenges with COVID, haven't we, Dr. Washington?
Yeah, so, a few weeks ago, the story was a little bit different than the story is today. But I think, so first off, thank you, Mayor, for your congratulations. We are excited for all that's happening at the health department, but also excited to wish Gibby well and her retirement 2.0. Most people know this is her second retirement, so we've been laughing a lot here to say we'll see if it sticks this time. So COVID is, things with COVID are rapidly evolving as they have been this entire pandemic. I will start my comments where I will end them. We are continuing that our top priority right now is to continue to encourage everybody in our community who's 12 and older to go out and get vaccinated as quickly as possible. And it's the most important tool in our toolbox to help us to be able to to continue to do the things we want to do and need to do while keeping the spread of this virus under control in our community. Right now in Mecklenburg, we have seen pretty exponential growth in terms of our case counts. All of our metrics are on the rise pretty exponentially. We have a number of folks who are currently in the hospital. Those numbers were all really low. Our percent positivity was low as 1% just a few weeks ago. We also, our number of folks in the hospital was below 25 a couple of weeks ago. I believe as I checked this morning, it was almost up to 90 or so in the hospitals in just a couple of weeks' time. We know the drivers of this are twofold really, but the first and foremost is that we are coming off of the 4th of July holiday. We know a lot of folks got together, enjoyed their time with families and friends, but as a result of that, we do know that that created more opportunities for the virus to spread. Secondly, there's I'm sure everyone here tonight has heard about the Delta variant, which is certainly incredibly more transmissible than the other variants that we've been able to identify to date. And so this variant is about 67% more transmissible than the UK variant. If you remember, we talked about the UK variant several months ago, which was like 60% more transmissible than the previous variant. So this is pretty easy to spread. And what that really means is that one person has the ability to more quickly infect more people. So what that means for us really is that we have to continue our push on vaccinations to make sure that we are using that as the most important tool to keep our community safe and to keep everything open for business. So we are continuing to work to get the message out to make vaccine as easy as possible. I will tell you, while our hospitalizations are increasing, the majority of those hospitalizations, more than 99% of them, are in individuals who are not vaccinated. So we know the vaccines work. We are experiencing a surge right now in cases in the community. It's the majority of those cases are in young people. So about 70% of them are in folks who are under the age of 39. And like half of them are folks who are between that age of 18 and 29. So we're really pushing some creative campaigns to young folks to make sure they know that while they may not feel like COVID's a risk to them, it certainly is a risk. We had a young man pass last week, unfortunately. In his early 30s, we had a teenager, I think you may have saw on the news, pass a couple of weeks ago. And this is preventable at this point. So we want to make sure we're doing everything possible to get folks vaccinated as quickly as possible. That being said, we're working with our school districts to make sure they're prepared. Kids are going back to school in just a few weeks here now. So we're working very closely with the public and private and independent schools and our universities to make sure they're prepared for the reopening. And we'll be doing everything we can to support them. So in closing, I'll just say, folks, please remember to be as safe as possible. I always still carry my mask with me. I don't always wear it, but if I go someplace where it's more crowded than usual, I'll have it in my pocket so I can just slip it on. I anticipate as the fall season is coming, we'll need to more normalize the wearing of masks just to keep us all safe. And I think everyone will just need to take on some personal responsibility to make sure they're doing what they need to do to keep themselves and their family as safe as possible. So with that, Mayor, I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. If not, we are so appreciative that you continue to invite us to keep folks up to date on what's going on.
So tell us how our vaccination rates are progressing here in Mecklenburg County.
Sure. So it's a slow tick right now. It's taken, a couple of weeks for us to move up another percentage point. Right now in the county, roughly 51% of those who are eligible in our 51% of the people in our community are vaccinated or at least have received their first dose. So they're partially vaccinated. And I believe 47% are fully vaccinated, which means we have quite a ways to go. The good news is that some of the most vulnerable groups in our community have much better vaccination rates. So if we look at the vaccination rates in our adults who are 60 and older, those numbers are much more like 80 to 85% that are fully vaccinated. So that is very encouraging because, of course, the majority of the deaths that we saw in this community over the course of the last 18 months have been in that demographic. We do have some racial and ethnic disparities that persist. We are seeing some very strong closing of the gap with our Hispanic community. Our Latinx neighbors are, the differences between them and others is starting to close. We're not seeing as good progress with our African-American and Black community, so we're going to continue to push as much as we can But I think, that those are some inequities that we've observed, but as an overall community, we still have a ways to go. We do anticipate that sometime later on this year, the vaccine will be approved for use in younger children under the age of 12. So we will be gearing up for another round of mass vaccination as the current estimates right now say midwinter. So for us, we're hopeful it's the earliest part of the winter as possible. And we also expect that Pfizer and Moderna will receive full authorization from the FDA sometime this fall as well. So those two things are on the horizon in terms of vaccine developments.
Okay, couple other questions, Doctor. Going along with that theme, Mike Z wants to know if you've seen any uptick in the death rates with the increasing infected numbers.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've definitely seen a few additional deaths, more than we had been seeing virtually no deaths for several weeks at a time, which was really encouraging. We've had a few additional deaths, like I said, over the last couple of weeks, but death is also a lagging indicator. So what typically happens with infections is that infection rates will start to go up more quickly. We'll start to see increased case counts. Then we'll start to see a little bit of time after that, we'll start to see the impact in the hospitals. And so we're starting to see a little bit of that now with the increased cases in the hospital. And then some period, 2 to 4 weeks after you start to see the increase in cases in hospitals, you start to see increases in deaths. Most of the time, people don't die immediately after once infected. And obviously our medical partners do everything they can to keep people alive. And so people can be on ventilators for quite some time, and then some folks are surviving, some folks unfortunately don't. So we would expect to see an uptick in deaths a little bit later down the road.
Okay, thank you. And another one is what percentage of vaccinated people are having breakthrough infections with the new Delta variant that's out there?
Yeah, so I don't have an exact number, but that's an excellent question. So we are seeing more breakthrough cases than we had been seeing previously. We were looking at around 95% of our new infections were in folks who were not vaccinated. I think that number is a little bit closer to 70 now. So 30% of the folks who are getting infected are infected. But I will tell you with a very high degree of confidence that the breakthrough infections that we're seeing are really mild cases of the virus. In most of those cases, those individuals have very mild symptoms. We are seeing a slightly different symptom profile with the Delta variant. Not as many people are losing their taste and smell, which was very common if you remember with some of the previous variants. But the individuals who are vaccinated, our staff are talking with them and they're experiencing very mild symptoms. And so I think that's encouraging for sure. But of course, there are some breakthrough cases, but the majority of them are doing well and recovering. Our hospitals last week reported, I think 99% of the folks who were inpatient were not vaccinated. And I think even at Atrium, I think it was 100% of their COVID patients were not vaccinated. So I think it's certainly doing its job of keeping folks from getting severely sick and helping slow the spread.
Yeah, it's pretty compelling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty, the vaccine works. I mean, I think if we look at our older adults, less than 10% of our new cases aren't older adults, where our vaccination rates are so much higher. Typically in previous periods of the pandemic, when we started to see this uptick in cases, we'd also start to see a lot more outbreaks in nursing homes and long-term care facilities. And that number has stayed stable so far over the last several weeks. And we don't see any large-scale outbreaks at all in those facilities, which is really encouraging.
All right. So what's your opinion of the booster? Kathy Weitzel wants to know that.
Yeah, so we are certainly looking to understand all three pharmaceutical companies are working to understand how long immunity and how strong the immunity is over time in individuals who are enrolled in the initial trials. And actually, we have some local antibody trials happening here. We have a couple of team members who are part of them at Atrium who are getting their antibodies checked on a routine basis to see how long they stay strong. And right now, there is no evidence that we'll need a booster in the near future. There is some preliminary evidence that suggests that some individuals, potentially with compromised immune systems, folks who have or on, for example, chemotherapy, where their immune system is being impacted in some other way, may in fact start to lose immunity much quicker than others. But as of this time, there's no official guidance or authorization for boosters here in the US. And so we'll continue to learn as we're continuing to learn how long immunity lasts, how strong it is. But early indication, at least in healthy people, does suggest that we won't need them in anytime soon.
Great, thank you, sir. And one final one here is, are you planning, or is Mecklenburg County planning to go door to door as President Biden is suggesting?
Yeah, it's a great question. So about 2 weeks ago, we launched a program called Doses to Door, which was not really connected to the president's recommendation around going to doors, but it was a recognition that we have a number of outreach teams in some of those communities, neighborhoods in our town and the county that have lower vaccination rates compared to other neighborhoods where we have been neighbors really going to door to talk to people, to answer their questions, to make sure that if they are uncomfortable or don't understand something or want to get answers to any question they may have, that they have someone there to talk to. Those teams have been out for the last 3 months, actually working in our community to talk with folks, answer questions, and help them if they want to get vaccinated, find a place to go. So 2 weeks ago, we did add an element to that work with those outreach teams. That there's a nurse that's tagging along with them. So if someone does decide they want to get the vaccine, they don't want to go to a clinic, they'd rather have it on their porch, then he or she is available to give the vaccine at that time. So Doses to Door is launched a couple of weeks ago. It's been very successful so far. And again, it's not a pressure campaign. No one's pressuring folks to get it. Again, the outreach staff are first initially approaching the door, talking to folks about the vaccine. If they want to get it, they're welcome to connect. They'll call the nurse to come to that residence to do it for them. Again, we're trying to make access easy, but we're also it's not a pressure campaign.
Got you. Thank you so much. And if you've got a couple minutes to stick around, Doctor, we would appreciate that. More questions may come in, but I think that's got us covered.
Sure.
Our commissioners, I believe I saw Dr. Miltick out there, Commissioner Miltick, and also Commissioner Bilodeau. Commissioner Sisson is away on vacation. I think she's floating around somewhere in the Caribbean, but bless her heart, right?
Good for her.
But anyway, any of our commissioners have anything to add or ask?
No, Dr. Washington covered it exactly right.
Great.
Nothing at this time. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. All right, so that moves us along to our next topic, which is, I feel like I need to give us a drum roll on this one. It's a lot of questions going around our town about transportation matters and development projects and things of that nature. And we're going to be actually commenting on things like that. All of our sessions that we have here on the Connecting Cornelius or our coffee chats, we'll open it up to certainly a brief comment about any of those items that our citizens may have. There's a lot going on, and I just feel like it calls for more frequent conversation as we move through this next few months. So we're very, very pleased tonight to have two of our staff members. First of all, our deputy town manager and also our acting planning director, Wayne Herron, is with us. And I believe we have Tyler Beardsley with us as well to make any comments he may have related to some of our local projects going on. So Wayne Herron, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you, sir. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Mayor Washam. I appreciate that. I am going to try to cover a lot of information in a condensed fashion, but it's important information. And I'll add a little commentary as I go. I want to talk a little bit about our development that's going on and give some commentary on that, and then talk about our transportation projects and how they play into our congestion and our traffic issue. So let's see if I can make this thing move. Try it one more time. Okay, I'm gonna have to stick with this one, Danny. This isn't the one I started with, but so let me talk a little bit about our, and can everyone see where it says current conditional zoning project?
You may want to advance your
Okay.
slide. We can see your cover slide.
Okay, what about now?
We got it.
Mhm.
Okay, good deal.
Go into presentation.
And I even logged on early to practice, my word. So let me talk a little bit about some development that's going on in town here. And one of my commentary as I talk about the development is, when folks see some of this development or they hear us talk about it, there's a perception that there's just an overwhelming amount of development going on. And while it's in key areas where we do see it, our growth rate is relatively low compared to our neighbors. We have some steady growth, we have some steady requests, and that's a good thing. That means we're remaining healthy. If we were not growing, and you hear this a lot, if you're not growing, you're probably dying. So we need to keep a little healthy growth moving forward. And then we need to balance that with our congestion and our traffic issues. And I'll talk about that. So one of the projects that's in the pipeline right now, we have a request. Many of you are familiar with the vacant land over behind Bojangles. We have a project coming through the pipeline where they're looking to put in 340 housing units, 8,000 square foot of commercial space, and a new hotel and a conference center. The reason for that location is it's right across from the transit space, the transit parking. It's a walkable situation to many of our restaurants. They are currently working on their traffic impact to see what those impacts are. We'll be evaluating that. We'll be working with NCDOT, and then we'll be presenting this to the planning board and the town board with public input and to see how this fits into our local land use plan. We're also working with Old Mecklenburg Brewery and Greenway Gardens, and this is over north of the Greenway that's adjacent to Antiquity. This is scheduled to go to the planning board in August, and it'll come to the town board in September. Staff is still working with the developer. We're working through some issues. They're proposing 398 residential units with 55,000 square feet of commercial and retail that includes Old Mecklenburg Brewery. You'll notice this nice picture in the upper right, a nice boulevard, give us a nice pedestrian environment. And you'll notice the bottom right, that'll be the brewery with their beer garden. So we're certainly working through some issues here. And as you can imagine, like most projects, we're working through traffic issues and access issues with the fire department. This is right next to Old Mecklenburg Brewery. This is the Caroline development. This is proposing 95,000 square feet of residential space. The vast majority of it is independent living for seniors. Or active adult units is what they call it, 250 of those. We'll have some office, some commercial, and this will connect to Old Mecklenburg and be a companion project. On the bottom right, you can see it fronts on our Antiquity Greenway, and you can see the Antiquity Bridge. This is another site that we're working on. We're negotiating with the developer, as you can imagine, on traffic and access. So the next one, and this is one we're extremely excited about. This is the start of the Atrium project. Atrium bought nearly 100 acres from Westmoreland and US Highway 21. It's the site where Tenders is located now. A lot of folks are asking me, are you going to shut my chicken place down? No, Wayne Herron is not going to shut the chicken place down. They have a place to go. They are looking to relocate. They've known that for a while, but we're very excited about Atrium coming in. Several positives as we start this. You'll see the good looking building and stormwater amenity. We talked about this at the planning board last night. They'll be amenitizing this, creating a trail around the pond, benches, a nice place for people to go walk, employees to walk and have a nice place outside. And then just look at how good that building looks. That's a great start to this campus. We're excited that Atrium received their certificate of need from the state. We were talking to them about starting a hospital soon. Also, we're so appreciative and excited. They are looking to donate land for fire station number 3. That is an outstanding offer from them. We're so appreciative. That will benefit our citizens so much to have that new fire station. Just great improvement for response time. So we're so appreciative. The other thing I want to note with Atrium is their presence and what they bring with their development actually will help us move some of our road projects up the list. They are in favor of exit 27 at Westmoreland Road, and also with their what they're bringing in development and what they're adding to the intersections on 21 will actually help, we believe, move that project forward. Right now, the 21 widening is scheduled for 2031. We certainly hope that we can move that up into 2027 time range or sooner. And Atrium is working with us. We're lobbying to move that forward, and we believe that can happen. We're certainly appreciative to Atrium for helping us make that happen. Action Water Sports, this is a boat dealership that's going out on Chartown. This will be just down from Life Fellowship Church, and also the new Lake Norman Jeep Chrysler Dodge that's going on the same road, and I'll show you a little sketch of that in a moment. At the town board Monday night, we heard a proposal from Vans Inn Luxury Car Club. This is also in Chartown. Chartown's a very popular street right now. This is a unique 40,000 square foot clubhouse and storage for luxury cars. This is something that's very popular nationwide. They do car shows. People can come in and look at these luxury cars. And we have a lot of folks who are into this in North Mecklenburg. This is the venue. This is downtown. This is a great project that we have coming in that will provide, hopefully, what they're saying is a white tablecloth type restaurant with some apartments overhead. It's in the Arts District. It will be just down from the Kane Center for the Arts. So we hope this will be a nice complement to the Kane Center and start to develop out our land use plan and our block plan for the town center. So let me talk now about some of the projects that we've already approved. Catawba at Knox. And I know this one's been out there for a while, but the reason I want to point it out, you know, the original approval that came back in I think the 80s was for a food line and for 55,000 square feet. I feel good that we were able to get that square footage down to 40. And I think this functions very well. It functions much better than the original approval. And we even have a Chick-fil-A, which is a high traffic generator, and this is doing very well. I hope people are enjoying that. Cambridge Square, this is out on West Catawba. It's 20 new single family homes. They remodeled the building in the front for a church, and there's a commercial building to go out in front next to it. The North Meck Rec Center, this is something that we're all very proud of, and we appreciate Mecklenburg County locating this facility in our town. This is a win-win for all of our residents. It's 43.7 acres, 82,000 square feet, pools, party rooms, gyms, indoor track, just a lot of good positive things for residents to take part in for recreation purposes. We certainly appreciate the partnership we have with Mecklenburg County in providing this facility. The Leaf Springs School, this is on US 21. If you've been down near where the old cowboy was, you'll see this coming out of the ground. This is a great new concept in preschool. What they do is they actually provide nurses on campus. I remember when my daughter was young, my wife and I had to rotate who stayed home when there was an ear infection or who stayed home when someone was sick. Here, they actually allow you to bring sick children. They keep them in a separate facility and have nurses, and it's a great alternative for parents who have young children. So we appreciate them being here. Alexander Farm, this is at the corner of West Catawba and Westmoreland. It was approved late last year. They are in the process of trying to finalize development plans, looking at how they move through the development process with stream buffers, grading, water and sewer. Probably will see the first construction on this within the next 12 months. The North Zion Avenue Medical Building, there will be a building for more doctors' offices going over in Zion. And I mentioned earlier the Lake Norman Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram expansion. This is also in Chartown. It's just great to have a business in town that is growing leaps and bounds as they are. We get a brand new dealership. The building will come to the front. It'll match the Life Fellowship and have the business park appearance that we desire, but adds many new jobs and a lot of good new business to our town. The Junker property on West Catawba, this was recently approved. It was approved for 195 upscale multifamily units. This is between Harborview and Junker Drive. And then last on the development, before I jump into the transportation, I want to mention the Arts District because this is probably the most popular area that we're talking to developers on. And the catalyst here is the Kane Center for the Arts. This one project is creating so much energy and vibe in the downtown area. We have so many good developers coming out with upscale restaurants, hotels, dining experiences that we think are just going to be great for our town center. And here's some pictures of the Kane Center. I know the mayor has had Justin Dion on our Connecting Cornelius previously. This is just going to be a great facility, and it's really a catalyst for what we're doing here at Town Hall. It promotes our downtown block plan, which is part of our land use plan. Also, I want to talk about the Festival Street. This is something the town is planning in front of the Kane Center. We hope this will be a nice new design of Catawba Avenue in front of Town Hall and the Kane Center for festivals and events that will complement what goes on at the Kane Center. So let me jump into transportation now, because you said all these development projects, we need transportation improvements. We all know we have congestion. We all know we have issues with transportation. We are very lucky that in the process, working with Dr. Miltic, who is chair of the Regional Transportation Authority, we have lobbied and got numerous projects approved. We have funding in place. We just have to wait for the actual construction. And so we are lobbying hard to get these projects constructed. If we can get all the projects you see on this map, and there's 13 total projects on this map, and I'm going to go through a couple of them, from intersections at Potts and 115 to 21 Catawba, Torrance Chapel, West Catawba widening 73. These are all projects that will add great capacity and allow us to survive and to function in a great way. I want to quote one of our commissioners, our Mayor Pro Tem, Dennis Billadu. We need to construct these transportation projects as quickly as possible, not only to maintain the public's confidence, but to move us in the positive direction. We've had a couple of projects recently delayed by DOT, and we're not standing by and just taking that. We and the commissioners have scheduled and looking to try to meet with NCDOT board members and let them know how important these projects are, and we need them delivered ASAP now. We know they're working on right-of-way. We know they're working on utilities, but we need them to move faster. We need these projects as soon as possible. What we want to continue to preach is that it's not our town development policies or the lack of capacity that create our congestion. We just have some ill-designed intersections that are have too much volume. I think I saw Lou Raymond. He's the chairman of our Transportation Advisory Board. Lou and his board do a good job of giving us input and giving us advice. As I mentioned, we continue to lobby DOT. Out of the projects that I am sharing with you here tonight, $125,872,515. Now, that's not all of our projects. That's just what I'm sharing with you tonight. And the town is pitching in over $22 million just for what I'm showing you tonight, which is 17.5% to keep these projects moving. Tyler's going to share a little bit with you in a moment about some additional projects. But I want to also show this slide to show Cornelius, our growth rate is predicted at 0.6%. That's the slowest of all the municipalities in Mecklenburg County. So while we feel the development, we feel a lot going on, we're really not growing as fast as some of our neighbors. Let me touch on a couple of the very important projects that affect our daily lives. Torrance Chapel in West Catawba. We have 3 roundabouts, one at the post office, one in front of Lake Norman Jeep Dodge Chrysler. The one thing I will say about this is when this project is done, You may not see improvements immediately because we heard a lot of comment from citizens that they wanted to keep that left turn from Torrance onto the interstate. But we don't get the full effect until we eliminate that left turn. So we'll continue to talk because, boy, we'd like to have, this could go from an F to a B if we can get the full effect of eliminating those left turns. But we may have to look at some hybrids as we move forward. This is the third roundabout at Knox and Torrance Chapel. There will be significant improvements here that Chick-fil-A has paid for, and improvements to the signal at 1 Norman, which we'll be glad to have that. 21 in Catawba, we have a roundabout down near the Hampton, a roundabout just down from QT and the State Boys Credit Union. Same thing here. We hope for excellent service from this new design, but we are not removing the left turns right away. But when the left turns are removed, this will improve the function of this intersection dramatically. What will happen is that you will come straight through, go around the roundabout and come back to get on. But when it opens, that left turn will still be there. So there'll be a time period that we'll have to evaluate how we move forward. Potts 115 roundabout, this will be great for safety and congestion improvements up near the YMCA in Davidson. The North Cross Drive extension, this will be a great north-south alternative to West Catawba. We're very excited about that one. All of the projects that I've just shown you have start dates in 2023. We're very hopeful that if they can get right-of-way acquired, get the utilities in, we can push those start dates up to 2022. I've told DOT what will make people the most excited is if they can see those orange barrels. I told the planning board, and I've said this before, I may go out and buy my own orange barrels and put them out there. I want people to know that we're moving and we're getting these projects going. Bailey Road extension, this is another one that's great for our economic development and safety. We want to keep, right now there's a very sharp curve in Bailey Road. We will just punch Bailey Road right out to 21. This will make this a much more desired corridor for economic development, and it'll take some of the traffic coming through Oakhurst, we'll take that out of there. We've got a signal coming at Hickory Street. This will be a great improvement here. If you've ever sat at Hickory Street, that's a hard one to get out of. So DOT's approved a signal. It will be installed in 2023. West Catawba Phase 2, this is the biggie. Right now, we are scheduled to start construction in 2025. Where we're lucky is they're acquiring right-of-way right now. As I mentioned earlier, the quicker they acquire right-of-way, the quicker we can get in there and get this thing started, so there's an opportunity to get it started early. Mayor, that's a lot, so I'm going to stop there, and I might wait for questions whenever you want me to, but Tyler's got a few things to add on town projects.
Well, let's jump in and
Okay.
and cover a couple of them because they directly relate to what you covered, Wayne.
Okay.
First of all, from Tony Brady, when a developer, this is related to traffic studies. When a particular developer is doing a traffic study for their proposed development, are they doing that study based on traffic as it exists today? Who is looking at the additive effects of all the developments that are happening in and around it?
That's a good question. There's actually a state model for how we have to do traffic studies. The only thing we do different than the DOT is that we're slightly more restrictive in when it is required. DOT requires it at 300 trips in the peak hour, 3,000 in a day. We require it at 100 in the peak hour and 1,000 in a day. How we do that is we do start with today's traffic as the base model. What we do is we do the traffic counts on today. We look at all of the NCDOT planned projects and the town planned projects. Those get incorporated into the model. We determine what the capacity will be when that project is built. What is then, we go out 5 years. Now, when a DOT does a project, sometimes they'll go out 30 years, but in local TIAs, you're not allowed to go out that far. You can only go out 5 years. We put a growth factor on the traffic over a 5-year period and say, this is what we expect it to be in the 5 years after this project comes on board. The traffic engineer runs a model. It shows us where the backups will occur. It shows us what kind of mitigation is needed. We're allowed to do that within 1 mile. So we can't go outside the mile. We can require the developer to do limited mitigation, such as turn lanes, signal improvements, some intersection improvements. We cannot require developers to build DOT projects. Also in North Carolina, you cannot require developers to pay impact fees. So we don't have those opportunities. That's not available in the law to us. So we do try to get as much mitigation out of the traffic impact study. We do the traffic impact study. We do not allow the developer to do that. So it's the government the town of Cornelius, who's doing that study. So it's not being done by a developer who can steer their engineer in a particular way. So I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, and I think this one goes along with it. This is sort of a comment which maybe you could clarify for this particular writer, related to growth projections that DOT uses. How can anyone project growth that far out, which they typically do, as we all know? I think the better question is for our growth trajectory through 2025 or 2030. And what does that mean for the traffic that we have to deal with right now, not 25 years from now? So,
well, that's also a good question. The one thing that study does is, even though it might say 30 years out, it's giving you an average over those 30 years. And it gives you a snapshot also of where we're at today. A lot of the information that we're using today is based on our 2014 land use plan. Our 2014 land use plan did depress our growth. There were policies adopted that basically reduced densities and put the growth at a lower rate. So when we meet with the school system, they see that we are at a lower rate. And what they do is we project it out not only for 5 years, but for 30 years. And those are used for different reasons when we're planning roads and for schools. What does that mean for traffic that we have to deal with now? Well, this is hard, but the 13 projects that you have on the slate now that are funded, that is because of planning that was done 15 years ago. So what we're planning for now, and Dr. Mike can tell you at CRTPO, they are working on a 2050 plan. So we are asking for projects now that we would like delivered in 2050. But the 13 projects that we have on our plan now, we have those funded because of the planning we did 15 years ago.
thank you, Wayne. One more, and I think we'll wrap up this piece of it.
Yes, sir.
Phase 1 of no left turn from Old Jatun to Jatun has been enacted. Wasn't there supposed to be another U-turn or some fix to no left turn?
I'm actually going to defer that one to Assistant Manager Beardsley. He and Manager Grant have been working on that, and they will know more about that than I will.
Okay, Tyler, take off on that one and then just continue if you don't mind.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mayor, and thanks, Wayne. So we are still monitoring that intersection, the Old Jatun and Jatun intersection. We get monthly reports on accidents that have occurred out there. So in terms of adding a second phase, we have installed this geotextile matting at Bouffane. So people who are making that U-turn at Bouffane won't rut up the road. We're working on improving that. That will happen probably in the next couple of weeks. So we're constantly looking at that intersection and trying to continue to make improvements where they need to be improved.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Yep. And now I'll share my screen. I only have two slides, so I'll be a little quicker than Wayne. He has got a lot more than I do. But our local projects that we have in the works right now are Bailey and 115 intersection improvements. So we're adding turn lanes or extending turn lanes in all 4 directions of this intersection. This work is underway. Unfortunately, we found a utility that we did not know was there that is in our way. So we're working with the utility to get those lines moved. We're hoping to have this project done before school started, but because of this delay, we're likely looking at finishing in September. So we're working now with getting communications out to the school system, parents, students, faculty, just to let them know that this work will still be happening. So hopefully that utility will get out of the way and we will be able to rock and roll and get this project done quickly. The other project that we're working on right now, the local road project, is Jim Street Extension. This will connect from Cornelius Elementary School over to Oak Street, going behind the mill, the Oak Street Mill. So we're in the process of acquiring right of way right now. We're almost done. You can see we have 14 to 17 properties already acquired. We should be getting another one here very soon. And then hopefully have the other two wrapped up in the next couple of weeks. So once we get those, that right of way acquired, then we'll be able to go out to bid. So hopefully this fall we'll be under construction on that. We have Electricity's the utility provider in the area, ready to move utilities once we get the last bit of right of way, and our engineers have already submitted permits. So it's getting real close to going. Hopefully we'll have right away wrapped up in the next month or so, if not sooner, and be able to get that out to bid here quickly. So Mayor, those are the only two slides I had, are local projects, but happy to answer any questions on those.
Okay, great. Let me just add that our entire board and myself are working diligently, as Wayne denoted, to move these projects forward more quickly. We're having some success, but we got some more work to do. And I know I've been joined particularly by Commissioner Bilodeau and Commissioner Miltick, who is heading up our CRTPO, has been noted. And we're formulating our plans and making some constant contacts to a long list of folks, mainly in Raleigh, to hopefully get some attention here in an appropriate way. I will assure you that our staff is in daily contact with DOT as it relates to all of these projects. We've got millions and millions of dollars coming our way. Andrew Grant, what would you say our dollar investment coming our way in the next 5 years or so is going to be for Cornelius?
Right. If you look at transportation projects, it's pretty similar to where Wayne had that number at a little over 100 million. But if you take the whole universe of transportation projects, I mean, we're easily close to Wayne. I want to say the number was around 300 million, and that includes greenway projects and everything else. And when you look at how much we leverage the town funds, good way to think of it is for every $15 of NCDOT funds that we receive, we put one of our dollars in. So that's a pretty good return on investment for us.
Perfect. Thank you. Commissioner Bilodeau, do you have anything to add?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to thank Wayne for acknowledging a quote of my impatience with road projects. But the second part of that quote is also getting those orange barrels out. I think our citizens know that there'll be some disruption, but at least know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But I just wanted to say quickly that, we're very fortunate to have someone like Wayne leading the planning department with his experience, background, and knowledge of just how to get things done. So we're very fortunate. We're also fortunate to have citizens volunteering for the planning board, for architectural boards, transportation boards, and they do their due diligence because, in my view, the most important part of the whole process is getting feedback from citizens, understanding what they feel will be the best use of this precious land that we have left here in Cornelius. So I'm just grateful and thankful for what the planning department does and the boards and committees that work so hard to try to get it right when we approve projects. So thank you.
Yeah, a lot of diligent work going in that direction. So let's see. We'll save this one to the end. This is a little different topic other than our transportation. So Kathy, we'll come back to your question in just a minute. Now I want to move along here to our guest tonight. Cynthia Team has been a champion for our town in many ways. She's been a champion particularly for the Exit 28 area. We have all gone through some traumatic experience as it relates to Exit 28, from traffic to the diverging diamond being constructed, people getting used to the diverging diamond, a long list of challenges with that area, and it's impacted our businesses. It really has. And she has taken on a passion for that. Cynthia is a realtor in our town, does a good job there. She's also an interior designer as it relates to businesses. She's helped multiple businesses throughout the region and that particular aspect of her background and career. So Cynthia, thank you for all you do, and give us a little update on Exit 28, particularly from the business standpoint, and tell us what Exit 28 is great is all about. Thank you for being here.
Well, let me first say I'm just absolutely thrilled to be here and flattered. I don't take all that very well, but anyway, thank you, Woody. And I would like to add to what Dennis just said. If you've lived in Cornelius for any period of time and have been connected to any of the town information, we are so fortunate to have the folks that are working so diligent and so hard at our town board level, planning committees, blah, 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 everybody. Pick up the phone, call Annie, and you can get any information that you need. So anyway, you know, having lived here as long as I have lived here, where we're heading and where we're going is just so exciting. And for us to have the game we're about to see with $300 million in so many different facets of growth, there's going to be pain for that game. I mean, that's all there is to it. From a realtor's perspective, you know, we don't have any good dirt to live on. I mean, you know, we're trying our best to balance out our tax base. So anyway, Exit 28 is great. And we want to really try to do all we can to keep it that way. Back in 2014, some 7 years ago, I'll remember we were having a town meeting and where we were talking about the construction of the bridge coming and the toll lanes and Publix and all these large developments going on, and everybody was freaking out. Everybody on social media was, don't go to Exit 28. And then there were people that were coming from out of town that didn't know how to get here any other way than some of the most direct methods, you know, not Westmoreland, not our new Nanny Potts, you know, those things. It's all coming into play. So I left one of those meetings one night and I said to myself, okay, so you're going to create a Facebook page, because there were some people that were having some very negative things to say about Exit 28 and Cornelius. And I thought, anybody that knows me knows I'm positive, knows that I'm always looking for, you know, the silver lining in what's going on. So there is a Facebook page. It's called Exit 28 is Great. There was another page that finally went away that was negativity. And this page was created specifically to generate free ad space for our Cornelius businesses. And the page is vetted every single day, not only for members that look on the page every day, but for the businesses that do put their ads up. And I'll give you a few statistics. You guys with the town, y'all got all these statistics and numbers going on, so I thought I'd bring you some. In the vetting, we've got a total of almost 3,000 members that are coming to us from the townships of Cornelius, Huntersville, the city of Charlotte, the town of Mooresville, and Davidson. The demographic is from 45 to 54 years old is our town demographic on this particular page. And believe it or not, it's 67% female. We already know females do most of the purchasing. So, but anyway, it's a page that works really well for the free advertising. We started out with Cornelius Business Alliance, The Cornelius Business Alliance, as well as Exit 28 is Great, is set up under a 501(c) business advocacy, a nonprofit business advocacy. And that's what it's all about. It's we have a behind the scenes email presence. We have over 350 businesses that are active and part of that email database. We saw early on that you might want to call it mom and pop or smaller businesses that couldn't afford to be part of the chamber. We want to help them grow so that they can see value in the chamber and join the chamber. We committed to having a quarterly event 4 times a year. That kind of fell to the wayside last year. So we're having conversations about how do we get back on track with something other than behind the scenes, social media and or emailing, but we're still connected. We're still having conversation. And part of my passion, like Mayor Washington just said, part of my passion is making sure that the community at large gets information, because they might not be zooming in. They might not be attending some of the planning sessions. I've got to say, I'll say too, I don't know what we'd do without Wayne. He's phenomenal. Tyler Beardsley will answer the phone and help me out in community on a regular basis. I think we just talked this week, didn't we, Tyler? But Exit 28 is great. It kicked off 7 years ago. It's still doing what it can do, and we will continue to do what it does. And as you know, any group that comes together, there's only a handful that does all the work. People say, well, why do you do this? Why are you doing this? What's in it for you? What's in it for me is my community. I want Cornelius to survive. I want Cornelius to thrive. And I'm just so excited about where we're going. The Kane Center, the whole arts district, the connectivity. I enjoy, my family, we enjoy all of the Greenway. Can't wait for all the connections to be made. So I just can't say enough. And when people engage me, I want to be informed. And y'all were very, very good at putting the information out there so that I can try to do what I do as one person. But there are a lot of people in Exit 28 is great. It's vetted. Those businesses are strictly Cornelius. No one else is vetted in. So do take the time on occasion if you're on social media and check out Exit 28 is great in those businesses. So thank you. Thank you very much for letting me speak about Exit 28 is great.
Thank you. Thank you. And I guess your logo is shop local, right?
Part of it. Yeah, we do encourage shopping local. You'd be surprised how many businesses we have, though, that don't want to get involved in the local activity. And we need to figure out a way to fix that. We've got some big box stores that don't have that kind of permission. Gotcha. And we need them to participate.
Gotcha. Good deal. Thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And, it's just the Cornelius way for you to jump in and do the right thing for your town. And we greatly, greatly appreciate it. I know those merchants out at Exit 28 do as well. So keep up the good work, please.
Will do. Thank you.
Now, yes, ma'am. Now, I want to, in a couple areas, I want to answer one question here, or get one question answered, which is, I think we can do that in the time we have left. There's another question that I think Kathy asked. Kathy, we'll be in touch with you in relation to your questions related to park. So please know that Danny will get those answers, and we will be in touch with you to give you some response to those questions. So I think Andrew could probably help me. Andrew Grant, is the town planning to install 5G networks? And as a sideline to that, is the town planning to install smart meters on residential homes?
So I'm not quite sure what they mean by smart meter, but as far as 5G goes, This is something, a technology that would be installed by the private sector. So you're looking at your carriers. I know we've had here at the town conversations with carriers such as AT&T who are interested in putting out 5G in the community. So I would anticipate the private sector would be doing that at some point in the future. As far as smart meters go, I'm not quite sure what they may mean by that.
Okay. Laurie, if you want to clarify that, we'll try to get you a little bit more information back on that. I'm not exactly sure as well. So, but thanks for asking. You gave us something to think about here. So with that, does anyone else have anything to add that's on our line here? Either of our commissioners that are involved, Mr. Bilodeau or Miltic, do you have anything to ask or add? Love for you to do that. And we'll wrap it up.
Well, the good news is transportation projects improvements are coming. The bad news is transportation projects are coming. And pretty soon the orange cone is going to be the town flower. So once we get through it though, that we'll have a better transportation network, but there'll be some pain like Cynthia said, but it will be better.
The orange cones is a good thing, right, Commissioner Bilodeau?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think our citizens understand that that's a good signal that things have begun and progress will be made. And we do owe the citizens some good communication so that we know what routes will be blocked, et cetera. But again, I appreciate everything that the volunteers, committees, and boards do for our town. They really send the information where it needs to go and helps the town board make decisions. And just appreciate the updates monthly, Mayor. Keep them up.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
The other challenge will be to work with NCDOT to phase these projects to minimize the impact on our local businesses as much as we can.
Right.
So,
and going along with Commissioner Bilodeau's comments, you can actually post your interest out on these committees or on our town committees. We have quite a few. I won't go over them because of our time element here, but you can watch for openings out on our website, and we invite you to apply for things that you are interested in to serve your town. We need your expertise and we need your help. And thanks for your interest in your town. It takes time. There's work involved, but it's all worth it. You'll learn a lot for sure. So thank you for a great event tonight. Thanks everybody that participated. We appreciate your input. Citizens, if you have a question, particular thing you'd like for us to address, our emails are very accessible. Please shoot us an email and we'll be glad to respond to you. Any particular staff member, their emails are out there as well. We'll be glad to answer your questions and provide you additional information. So with that, I'll say good evening to you. Thank you for attending this session of Connecting Cornelius Evening Edition. So we'll see you around town, everybody. Thanks a lot.